Hello and welcome back, everybody. My name is Paz, and welcome to another tier list video. This entire month, I pretty much have booked out for just Overwatch 2 videos because, it's coming soon. It's not even a month away. It's like, 22 days at the time of recording this? It's actually insane. But let's get right into it. The list today is actually what characters I think are going to be viable moving into Overwatch 2, which characters are really going to be winning, and which ones maybe do you want to brush up on a little bit if you're, unsure of what characters. Maybe I'm weak on a specific character that's S tier. Maybe I should put some more time into them now while I have the chance. What I do want to say, though, before I go on, because I know there's going to be some people that are going to be commenting if I don't say this early, this is all speculation. I only know about, the changes that we knew from a year ago in terms of the tank side of things, so this is all speculation of what I think will be happening. The changes that we saw with Orisa and Monkey and Reinhardt with the double pin, I don't think that's going to make too big of a difference compared to some of these other characters, just as an idea. But again, this is all speculation, this is all opinion, but it's an educated opinion, due to my experience just kind of playing this game for what it has been 6 years. So I mean, none of this is set in stone. A lot of this, I'm going to try to explain my reasoning behind it, but I also want to make sure that I don't take up an hour of your time doing this tier list, because it's a tier list for crying out loud. But yeah, with all that intro out of the way, let's get right into it. Let's get into Ana. And here's the thing, if you guys have been following my channel for a while, I've been saying that I thought Ana was going to be doing really well in Overwatch 2. The thing is I'm not so sure about that anymore. The thing is sure, you don't need as much healing anymore, you need a little bit more damage, but it's with Zen Brig being as strong as Zen Brig is Ana really gonna be viable, or are you just gonna run Zen anyways? Now the thing is, the biggest change here is that Brig no longer is gonna have that bash. It's gonna be more of a not CC in terms of stun, but a boop, which I think could still kind of peel away some characters from the Zenyatta. I don't know if it's going to be enough, though, so it's really difficult for me to quantify this. What I will say is I do think Ana is going to be slightly on the stronger side of things. I don't think she's going to be quite A tier or S tier. I know you guys can barely see the letters, but it's just better to have my face cam here anyways. I think that Ana being top B tier, I think is an okay place to put her. She might be a little bit higher on maybe low A tier, not S tier, I don't think. I think maybe low A tier, high B tier is kind of where I'm going to put her, just because she's really good at taking those one-on-ones and swaying fights, which I think is going to be really important for Overwatch 2, but she's not as good at it as Zenyatta is. The big character you really want to look out for is Brigitte, because I think Brig is still going to be strong come Overwatch 2, and if Brig is still going to be strong enough to keep a Zen alive, then it's why not just run Zen over Ana? I mean, that's kind of how it is right now. Ashe, by far, is going to be getting... I mean, here's the thing, right? Dynamite is really, really good against squishies, and with DM, not always going to be there all the time. With 2 tank slots, the DM can be there with d.va a lot easier. With 1 tank, I mean, d.va's got a lot more pressure to deal with, and, I mean, add a Dynamite in there with damage boost, I mean... That's going to be doing lots and lots of damage. No shields even at that point either. I think Ashe is going to have a lot more opportunities, and you're going to see that as a common theme here. I think DPS are winning. They're finally getting that chance that they deserve. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, Overwatch is an FPS game. I mean, what more can I really say about that? But let's keep moving on here. Baptiste, I think, is going to be on the losing side of things. I still think he's going to be good. Don't get me wrong. He still does a lot of damage currently in Overwatch 1. That might change for Overwatch 2. I don't know. At the end of the day, though, characters that do more on the healing side of things instead of damage, I think are going to be falling behind a little bit. I think Baptiste is definitely going to be doing better than some of his other counterparts, like Moira. I think is going to be having a really hard time come Overwatch 2 as she did in Overwatch 1. She had a pretty easy time when characters were on her side, but without that brawl composition, it's going to be really difficult to really pull off Bap, in my opinion, but we'll have to see. Bastion, I'm sorry. I don't think Bastion's ever going to be at the top of... I think he's always going to be struggling. It's just because if you make Bastion too strong, it's... I don't know. If you make Bastion too strong, you have that Ironclad meta where Bastion was a must pick. Right now, I mean, with what we've seen from Overwatch 2 in terms of the turret mode, and he can kind of move around still, it just doesn't seem good to me. I don't see it being very strong. I mean, I guess I'm not going to be able to say anything until I actually get my hands on it, but I just don't see Bastion winning when you have characters like Sombra. You have all these great characters that are just going to do really, really well without another tank to kind of keep them in check. I think Bastion's going to struggle because of that. I think Bastion really needs those 2 tanks to really set him up, and even with his buff, I'm not sure, or I'm not even going to say buff, that with his rework, I don't know if it's really going to help him out a lot. Brig, I want to put kind of below A tier. That might be a little bit generous. It's going to have to be until we actually see what happens. My thing is, even though Brig, even if her bash doesn't stun anymore, if everything else remains somewhat constant, maybe with a little bit of numbers, a little number nerf, I still think she's going to be really strong. I mean, Rally's incredibly strong. Inspire is just really, really crazy. I think really, the thing is right now is, unless I see Inspire go down in terms of maximum radius and it goes down to maybe like Lucio amp, she's going to be strong. She's going to be, I mean, if she stays the way she is, definitely S tier. I think she's going to get nerfed a little bit, so I'm going to kind of put her at the bottom A tier. But again, we're not going to know anything until our hands are on it, so let's get into it. Doomfist is a hard one. I really can't comment on Doomfist because I don't know the changes. And without a shield, without DM, he's just kind of going to be a threat. I think that Doomfist will have his time in Overwatch 2. Like, there will definitely be a time where Doomfist is good as a tank in Overwatch 2. I don't think it's going to be on launch. I think they're going to have to tweak it a little bit, tweak his rework a little bit. Because 500 health is great, and having some CC abilities is cool, but not having any real defensive abilities from what I've seen so far kind of makes it hard for me to justify putting him in that A tier just yet, especially when we have some more tanks coming up. Now, I know I've been getting a lot of hate for saying this. I've been saying this since the inception of Overwatch 2 from like a year ago when people were finally realizing that it's going to be one tank. D.va is going to be the best tank on release of Overwatch 2. I'm almost certain about that. I've been certain about that for almost a year now. Here is the reason why. If you've seen the experimentals, that patch where she was going to be able to fly around every 2 seconds, I believe is going in Overwatch 2 or some iteration of it. So, like, her being able to fly that fast, that's incredible mobility for a tank, as well as having defense matrix from 2 to 4 seconds, I'm pretty sure is what it was. I'm not sure if that's actually what the numbers are. Don't quote me on that. But, like, that's a lot of DM. That's a lot of speed. Add that she does so much damage right now in Overwatch 1. She's so strong in Overwatch 1, and she's getting more. I mean, here's the thing. Wrecking Ball, he's not necessarily going to be... He's just kind of an initiator. He's not trying to peel for the backline or doing anything. D.va does it all. And when you only have one tank, I mean, you don't have a lot of room to have someone that's kind of on one side of the spectrum. I mean, at least that's my opinion on it. I think D.va's just really well with Zen Brig compositions, which I believe are going to be really strong unless we see a big nerf, which I'm sure we will, but I don't know if it's going to be big enough. So in my opinion, I think D.va along with maybe one tank down the line might be up there, but I think D.va takes the cake. She's going to be fantastic come Overwatch 2. You can quote me on that. You can bet on this. I'll bet $10. I'll bet not $10. 5 gifted subs. If someone thinks that another tank's going to be meta, come in the Discord, DM me, we'll figure it out. Echo, I think, is going to be really, really strong. I don't think Echo's really been struggling that much. I think she's just always going to be a solid character. S tier, not sure about that one, because now that hit scan can kind of be run whenever, because I mean, you only have one tank. The skies aren't going to be as safe because you don't have D.va being able to pressure that hit scan without leaving your backline open. Do I think Echo's going to be on the meta side of things? Yes, upper echelon of A tier for me. Genji's like kind of like Bastion in a way. I'm not going to put him in D tier, but he's kind of like Bastion in a way where if he's going to be weak, and that's just kind of how he is, because if he's too strong, it's too much. It's too much to deal with. Now, I think that Genji's definitely going to be on the stronger side of things, because without that CC from a loss of a tank and Brig not having bash, I think it's going to help him out a lot. Do I think he's going to be quite as strong as some of these other DPS and how they're winning? No, I just don't see that happening, at least in the near future. Hanzo's definitely going to be probably on the winning side of things come Overwatch 2. I think he's going to be close to the Ashe. I think Ashe is actually going to be maybe a little bit better. I don't know if I could say that. The thing is with Hanzo is that he has mobility and he has a lot of burst potential, and he's not as one-dimensional as Widow is as a sniper. I think people are kind of overplaying this idea that double sniper is going to be oppressive in Overwatch 2, because that's just not how things are going to work, in my opinion. You're not going to have a shield to really protect both snipers on both angles. Double shield allowed for double sniper to be so strong because you could take those duels with a shield in your face. Like, you're not going to get hit. At this point, I mean, sure, you could run Widow versus Widow, but why wouldn't you just want to run d.va with Tracer Echo or Tracer Sombra that could just overwhelm the sniper and they don't even get to take shots? I think Hanzo does better in this regard because he's a lot faster paced. I mean, he has that jump, he can wall climb, he has sonar, he has more utility, and his Dragon's just overall a better ultimate to pressure people out. I think Hanzo's definitely going to be on the winning side of the snipers. Widow, not so much. Junkrat, I mean, you got to feel for Junkrat. Am I going to say Junkrat's worse than Bastion? No. I think the problem with Junkrat is that it's very hard to hit targets. It's extremely hard. And it's so hard to the point where why would you even run it? Now, here's the thing. I'm not dissing players like Aquamarine. I always bring up Aquamarine whenever I say anything about Junkrat. I know, it gets annoying, but it's just factual here. Aquamarine's very good at Junkrat. He's an experiment. He is a government experiment. He is not representative of the whole. He is not something that you want to look at to average out everyone. He is insane at Junkrat, and it's just not, you can't really justify talking about the whole crowd when it's just about one character. I think he's not going to be, it's not easy from a standpoint. I mean, a character that's all about spamming and like chunking out tanks and making sure that CDs are getting taken out from them, I don't think he's winning this. Maybe I could justify putting him in C tier. I'm not sure if I could. Lucio's an interesting one because if Brig isn't super strong, I think Lucio is definitely, that's difficult. I don't know if I want to call him the runner-up. I think he might be a Joker pick in terms of the Genji too. I mean, the Ana as well. These are all like really high B tier picks here. The thing is I think that Lucio, in the sense of him speeding a team around, isn't going to be as strong as it used to before. I just don't see it happening. I think the d.va compositions and the dive compositions to surround enemies is just going to be too strong because his DPS are really going to be thriving. I think the thing with Lucio is that Reddit Lucio strategies are going to be even more viable than they are now, especially in ladder. I think the damage and dueling potential that Lucio has the possibility to put him above Brig here. It's gonna come down to how hard does Brig get nerfed and how hard does Lucio get changed buff, maybe we buff the range of his crossfade. I'm not sure. I'm gonna put him above Ana here. I think he has a possibility to really take things away, just not exactly sure 100% yet. Cassidy's going to be a hard one. I'm going to put him above Bap. I think Cassidy and Baptiste are kind of in the same vein here, as well as the Mei. I mean, I think they're kind of losing because Brawl it's very hard to justify Brawl when you're down some tank presence. I mean, you're going to be down that Rhine or down that d.va, and without a d.va, your Rhine's pretty much dead against anything Overwatch 2 has to throw at you, in my opinion. Now, I'm not sure yet. We haven't seen all the tank changes, but we'll get there when we get there. Mercy's going to be definitely up with Brigitte. Even if Brig isn't strong, then Mercy's going to be strong. And then it comes down to, will Lucio get buffed enough that doing more damage as Lucio is actually more effective than just damage boosting a god tier DPS? I mean, in all honesty, that's probably what it's going to come down to. That's what I think. And I'm just going to stop the discussion right there. Damage boost on DPS when DPS are going to be really strong. I mean, Mercy's going to be crazy. Maybe not as good as Brig because Brig is just so much better right now in terms of just overall viability and like how she can contribute to a fight. But I mean, that might change come Overwatch 2. Moira, I think, is definitely going to be struggling probably the most out of all of the supports in this list. Moira needs to have a fast composition that just kind of runs into the enemy, and I don't see that happening super easily when you're down d.va and, yeah, when you're down d.va Rhine. I mean, you have to pick one or the other here. I think it's going to be difficult. I don't think that she's not going to be playable at all. I just think that she's going to be struggling the most out of all the other supports to find viability in a very much more FPS-focused game instead of a MOBA focus, which is what she's really strong at. This kind of goes the same for Orisa. The thing is with Orisa is that she's an enigma. All these tanks are going to kind of be an enigma. I don't know if I want to put anything in D tier. I think that Orisa is going to be played much more like a spam then brawl character, so I think gives her a little bit more viability because there's more options to choose from. That's kind of what she is right now. I mean, a lot of people think that Orisa is just a spam character. No, she definitely is a slower character, but you can force a brawl when she has Fortify and just walk into the enemy. It's definitely something that can happen. Do I think it's going to be fantastic? I'll have to see how those javelins work. I still haven't seen it from the developer update. I have to brush up on that. So, I mean, maybe this is just a bullshit take. I don't know. Let's move on to Farah. Farah is definitely going to be struggling a lot. Maybe not as much as some other characters, but I think she's definitely going to be lower on the end on the B take. The problem is here is that Farah just is going to be she's going to get pressured out a lot. The fact that there isn't another tank to keep the ground war in check really makes Farah a difficult pick to justify. Now, maybe I'm overestimating the fact that a tank is gone. Maybe like having that tank gone actually opens doors for Farah. Thing is, it opens doors for her just as much as it closes them, which, I mean, that's why I'm putting her B tier. I just can't see why you'd pick Farah over like an Echo with Brig currently. I mean, maybe Mercy changes things, but I mean, even a pocketed Echo with Mercy is better. I mean, Farah's just too slow. That's the thing. I think a lot of the speed stuff is going to be really important going in Overwatch 2. So, for example, when we look at Reaper here, I think he's going to be in the upper echelon of D tier, but I just don't see him moving past C. I don't see him moving past there because, I mean, you need to close the distance and you need time and health to do that. And without an off tank there, I mean, you're just not going to have that in your arsenal. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, I digress here. Reinhardt, again, I think Reinhardt and Orisa are kind of on the same vein here. I think that Orisa is going to be winning out a little bit more than the Reinhardt, just because the switch in tempo that she can have is going to be really, really good in moving into Overwatch 2. Again, we don't know anything. Maybe that pin and like canceling pin, having 2 fire strikes is going to be really nice. But you still have to realize you're going to be taking tenfold the amount of damage because you don't have anything to protect you. And that's why Hog, I mean, here's the thing, right? If Hog stays the way he is, it's honestly not the worst thing ever moving in Overwatch 2. I kind of want to put him above Doomfist. He's just like a slower Doomfist in a way, I think, going into Overwatch 2. You're not going to be frontlining on Hog. The whole idea is just to force a Call of Duty comp, which I think works in Overwatch 2 a lot better than it does in Overwatch 1. And hell, it even worked in Overwatch 1 a few metas ago. I mean, Ball Hog, we saw that in Overwatch League once. I think we saw it on like Temple of Anubis. I don't remember what team it was, but Hog was meta back then because, I mean, why not just flank? Your backline can stay safe with Brig. Your backline could just play on a Mercy. I mean, why not just run the Hog then at that point, you know? That's my personal opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. We're going to have to see, and we're going to have to wait until stuff gets here. Same kind of idea, though, with Sig, except Sig can be more frontliney and also flank, while Hog is more flank and less frontliney. If he needs to frontline with his new... Maybe he has that April Fool's update where, like, when he heals, he has, like, the fart cloud around him that heals everyone. Maybe he could frontline a little bit, and that was vain, too. Not as well as Sig. I don't think Sig's going to be as good as d.va, because I think d.va just does his job faster with more mobility and can get high ground easier. She's literally dev mode. I don't know how Blizzard hasn't figured this out yet. So I think Sigma falls behind in that regard, but if d.va gets a nerf, Sigma gets a buff, I mean, any of this stuff could change, you know? Soldier 76, I think it's going to be really, really strong compared to some other characters. Not sure quite yet. I think he might be atop of B tier. That's kind of where this cutoff goes. I think this is kind of like bottom B tier, and this is top B tier where Ana and Sig is in the low, Ana's on high. I think that's kind of where the cutoff is currently from what I'm looking at. I think Soldier's going to be really, really good in terms of, like, he wants to flank, he wants to get those picks, and without a tank to really keep him in check, he can kind of do that for free. I mean, d.va is still going to be really strong, but he only really has to worry about d.va, and once that d.va's out of mech, the fight is pretty much won for them. But Sombra. Even if she doesn't get that damage boost and she only gets like a 5% or 10% damage boost, that hack is going to be insane surrounding the enemy when, I mean, you're going to have to pull the d.va back at that point. I think Sombra's going to be absolutely insane moving into Overwatch 2. Thing is, if we're looking at this in terms of a purely ladder sense, Sombra's not going to be moving much higher than a B tier. I'm sorry. The thing is with Sombra is that you need to have a team that understands what they're doing with said Sombra, and the Sombra needs to communicate. So, I mean, it's really difficult. And here's the thing. Even in an ideal world, I think Sombra is most definitely going to be winning come Overwatch 2. I mean, she's already super strong as is, and they're debating on actually buffing her more. Now, I know the pro players have actually been fighting back against that, but I mean, we've seen how pro players fight back against Blizzard before. It doesn't usually go too well. I mean, maybe we get a little bit of a change, but it's not much. So I mean, I think Sombra's kind of set in stone. She's getting a buff coming into Overwatch 2, and she's going to be winning. So if you're not good at Sombra now, I think that might be a character you might want to tweak a little bit and get better at. Symmetra's going to be a really weird one. I saw ML7 did something with support on Symmetra for the experimental patch. I don't know if that's actually going to happen. I think I'm kind of putting her with Ryan because if Ryan's bad, Sim's bad. But, you know, maybe Sim gets that speed boost buff. Maybe Sim can make Ryan viable. You never know. I think this is kind of a Joker pick here. I'm not sure if Sim's going to be great. She might actually come out on top and be really strong. Not sure yet. Torbjorn, I think, is actually going to be really strong into this Overwatch 2 patch that we have moving in here. Maybe not as strong as some of the other d.va kind of characters. But the thing is with Torbjorn is that he is very good in a one-on-one duel. I mean, overload armor for a short period of time while you can also shoot faster. If you take a duel with Torb, you are most likely going to lose so long as that Torb is competent. I mean, I can't stress that enough, as well as just a poke with turret. Turret's not going to be as oppressive, though, because you don't have the shield to really protect it. It's more so just going to be a distractor like it already is at the top level. I don't think he's going to be as great as some like the Tracer compositions that surround, but maybe I'm just biased because that's what's really strong right now. I just think that Torb shouldn't be slept on, and if you're not good at Torb, you definitely want to look at Torb. He's not a meme. He is no longer a meme character. He's a very strong character, in my humble opinion. Tracer, I mean, guys, it's just like Tracer's already strong enough as is. They didn't seem like they were going to change Tracer too much. I mean, what are you really going to change about her without reworking her? I mean, if you change something about her, she kind of becomes doo-doo water. I mean, let's be honest here. She's strong as is, and I mean, if Brig's going to be losing CC, that makes Tracer even stronger. So I don't think it's going to be snipers, guys. It's definitely going to be more of what we're seeing right now. I mean, that's what I'm guessing until we see balance updates. Again, I'm saying this again and again, so I make sure I get my point across. Until we see balance updates, we will not know. But that's why I'm saying, like, I don't think Widow's winning here, guys. I really don't see her winning. I still think in ladder, she's going to be really strong, but you're not going to see her at the highest level of play very often. I mean, to be honest, yeah, you have one less shield, but good players will position themselves good enough that this Widow's not just going to kill them for free. I mean, the problem is, I think at lower ranks, she's going to be very oppressive because there's going to be a lot of Smurfs that are just like getting back into Overwatch. You know, let me dunk on some plat players. Yeah, that's going to happen. It's going to suck for you guys. But that's why in the last video I told you guys about positioning. Make sure you're going against corners, making sure that you're not just peeking this Widow, making sure you're not just jumping all the time, making it harder for Widows to really just swag out and kill everyone. I mean, it's really important that you look at that, make sure you brush that up, because if you do brush that up, she's not going to be oppressive come Overwatch 2 in the slightest. Moving on to the last 4 characters on this list, we got Monkey. Monkey's definitely going to be in the lower echelon of things. I don't see him doing super well. I think he's top C tier. You might be like, well, Paz, there's a bunch of dive characters up here. Why would Winston be bad? Winston is just a huge target, and without another character to really keep him alive, it's going to be really difficult to, I don't know, push through and really make something work with the Monkey there. Ball, I think, is going to be incredibly strong. Not as strong as d.va, so I don't want to put him way too high. The thing is that Ball is very good at initiating, and if the whole idea from my perspective is if Ball can kill you first, there's no need to really defend the backline. But that's really difficult to quantify and make sure that works without having the patches that we are waiting for coming the 26th. But what I have been seeing a lot is a lot of pro players speculating that Zarya is going to be really strong. And I don't know if I'm going to say really strong here. I mean, I don't have the patches, and maybe they know something I don't. But what I will say is that Zarya is going to become the new Brawl tank, I think. Because the thing is with Ryan is that he's just going to kind of get pummeled over by DPS. Meanwhile, Zarya has a lot more tools to help herself out. And if she's going to have multiple bubbles to save her team, she also has more to help her team. So it kind of seems like Zarya might be really good on like King's Row, or Lijiang Control Center, or maybe some of the new maps coming in Overwatch 2 in the push game mode. Maybe that would be really strong for Zarya. Will I put it above d.va? I don't think so. Will I put it in A tier next to Ball? I think so. I think with the changes that are coming to Zarya and the speculation I've heard so far, it's likely that Zarya is going to be the better Brawl tank than the Reinhardt. And she also works quite well into these dive characters as well if you try to play for more of a surrounding comp, because 2 bubbles, I mean, that opens the door for more damage with your tank. Maybe that's what they're going for. I'm not sure. Don't sleep on Zarya if you're not good at Zarya. Maybe look into trying to get more charge with her, get better at her, watch some A10. That's what I can really suggest. And then last but not least, I'm going to have to put Zen next to Brig here. Again, Zen's viability and Brig's viability, they're kind of dependent on each other. If one gets, I mean, that's not true. Zen's viability is kind of dependent on Brig here. if Brig isn't super strong and can't keep the Zen alive, Zen's gonna be really bad, because then you can't really run spam anymore. I mean, you could run Zen Mercy, which would kind of merit like maybe a B tier. It's gonna be okay, but I mean, regardless, I think Overwatch 2 is going to be a lot more about frags. It's going to be a lot more about hitting them shots and killing people fast. It's already what it is at the top level. I think it's going to be less about brawly MOBA. I think it's going to be less about just sitting still with 2 shields and shooting from across the map. It's not like that anymore. Overwatch is changing. You don't have the off-tank to bail you out in those situations. It's going to come down to your individual mechanics and seeing if you could really push through and show people that you are just de facto the better team. And that's all I got for you guys then. If you guys think that this is a good list, let me know. I think there's a lot of characters that will be winning that we've been seeing win before, but also some interesting picks. I mean, Ana and Zarya, those are some contenders, and maybe Genji comes back. I don't know. I will know when I get to play the beta on the 26th. Well, that's if I get a key. I have no other information. This is purely speculation. Just reminding you guys again. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. But until next time, I've got to peace out and Paz out. I'll see you in the next one.